Dear colleagues, welcome to the next lecture of the Agroheritage project, which will deal with the small fruits and berries and practices in traditional use. One of the fundamental responsibilities of human society was the food security. It includes not only the sustainable food supply, but also sufficient nutritional quality. During the most of the European history, traditional agriculture was capable to provide for main nutrients, but was not able to offer sufficient quality and nutritional diversity. Until the Renaissance, the diet relied mainly on cereals, onion, cabbage, turnip, fish, meat, milk, and other dairy products. In late 18th century, things had changed with the introduction of novel crops and vegetables like pepper, tomato, potato, spices. But one could ask how people had managed the nutrition quality problem before. The answer is by including fruits and berries in their diet. What kind of fruits and berry sources were available in Europe? Most of the Europe falls into temperate and subtropical climatic zones where a number of plants with edible fruits can grow. Some examples native to Europe and Mediterranean are fig, olive, apple, pear, plum, medlar, quince, blackberry, raspberry, rosehip, blueberry, hawthorn, blackcurrant, strawberry, to name a few. Since these plant species could be found freely growing in forests, forest borders, or open spaces all over Europe, they were quickly recognized as a valuable food source and diet supplement. Moreover, such a recognition significantly accelerated domestication of these plants. As a result, fruits and berries turned into an important source of vitamins, microelements, and bioactive compounds available to most social groups. But soon after, another problem arose. Some fruits like olive, quince, rosehip were not suitable for direct consumption. Others were available during few weeks in summer-autumn season, after which they quickly deteriorate. Thus, solutions for prolonged storage without loss of quality were needed. During the centuries, several such approaches were developed and became part of traditional knowledge across Europe. Some fruits like fig, medlar, quince, apple, and pear were possible to be stored in dark and dry space for a few months. It was empirically found that prevention of damage by stacking with hay or leaves keeps fruits in better conditions and prevents rotting. During the storage period, maceration and mild fermentation could occur, which makes fruits easily digestible. For other fruits, storage as is was not an option due to quick deterioration. They need preliminary drying, either in room or on direct sunlight. Dehydrated fruits then can be stored in dry place for up to 6 months. These fruits can be consumed directly or can be used for preparing dried fruit compote. Most likely, fruit drying was stolen from nature. Undoubtedly, people had observed that fruits that remain on branches get wrinkled, but retain its quality and taste. Drying process is relatively simple. Berries are evenly spread in a single layer on a flat surface. Large fruits like apple can be cut in slices in advance. The most critical parameters are to provide sufficient air flow and prevention of moisturing. Fruits and berries stored either as is or in dried form does not lose nutrients and valuable ingredients. This practice was widely spread all across Europe and is still used today at an industrial scale. The prolonged storage of olive fruits needed further processing like marinating or fermentation, which appeared to be developed quite early in the history. During these procedures, olive fruits changed their structure and composition and became suitable for consumption. These ancient solutions are still implemented in modern production technologies. Another kind of processing developed millennia ago was the mild fermentation without alcohol distillation. The low alcohol concentration in the product acted as a conserving agent, thus allowing for prolonged storage. Fermentation process does not affect significantly vitamin content and can improve nutritional value to some extent. The product also acts as a mild sedative, is richer in vitamins and can be used by children. Homemade fruit wine is still popular nowadays. Similar low alcoholic products are produced at industrial scale, although using more advanced technologies. Storage of whole or dried fruits was an easy solution, but with some drawbacks. If the storage conditions are inappropriate, rotting could occur. Also, fruits can be deteriorated by insects and rodents. Low alcoholic beverages cannot be stored for too long due to inadvertent fermentation. It is not known when and where thermal processing of fruits and berries was first introduced. The overall principle is simple. Fruits are sliced and cooked on slow fire to prevent sticking and extensive caramelizing. During the cooking, water is slowly evaporated. Soluble polysaccharides like pectin are released and partially fragmented. As a result, the product obtains jelly-like consistency upon cooling. Usually, heating continues until volume is reduced by 3/4 to 4/5. The processing does not need specialized equipment outside large-sized cookware. Jellification was usually performed soon after fruit or berry collection. Despite being a time-consuming procedure, jellification allowed production of small volume but highly concentrated food that can be stored for prolonged periods in jars or pots. While a thermal treatment can destroy some of the labeled bioactive compounds and volatile ones are lost, it actually pasteurizes the product by killing most bacteria and fungi. Water evaporation results in increased sugar concentration, which serves as a conserving agent. Jelly-like consistency restricts oxygen penetration, thus preventing bacterial growth. The very low water content further limits bacterial growth and spore germination. The main problem is the surface growth of molds and bacteria, but it can be prevented by tight closing immediately after pouring the hot product into the pre-sterilized container, just boiled in water. Jellification can be performed on almost all fruits and berries in single or in mix. Apple marmalade can be found all over Europe. The same is true for rosehip and berry jellies. Fig, medlar and quince products were more typical for the Mediterranean. The main advantage of jellification is that the process is within the reach of almost all households and generates a long-lasting product that is both rather useful for own consumption and easy for trade. Nowadays, fruit and berry marmalade and jellies are still made by households and not only in rural regions. These products are so popular that they are made on industrial scale too. Why fruits and berries and products based on them were so popular during all times? Current metabolomics research identified over 10,000 organic compounds. Fruits and berries were a valuable vitamin source, especially for vitamin C. The presence of antioxidants helped the prevention of diseases. In absence of qualified medical help, fruits and berries were the only available vitamin and bioactive compound source to help the recovery from illnesses. Before industrial sugar production era, fruits, berries and their products were the only alternative to honey as a sweetener. A brief summary of the lecture. Human nutrition requires not only quantity but also quality of the food. During the most of the European history, one key source of food quality were fruits and berries. European climate allowed the existence of sufficiently large number of plant species with edible fruits. These plants could be easily found growing freely in forests, forest borders or open spaces. Thus, fruits and berries were readily available to all social groups. Fruits and berries were quickly recognized as an important nutritional source. The main problem, seasonal availability, was solved by developing practices and processes allowing for prolonged storage. Most likely, these processes emerged independently in different regions and gradually became a part of local traditional practices. The simplest practice was to store fruits and berries either as is or upon drying. Another practice was to produce mildly fermented beverages. These practices are still in use, but they have some drawbacks. It's hard to estimate where and when thermal processing was first introduced. The process is simple but laborious. Its main advantage is that it generates a low volume jelly-like products with high sugar concentration that can be stored for quite a long time. Fruits, berries and their products were popular throughout Europe due to several reasons. Easily accessible source, an important source of vitamins, microelements and bioactive compounds. Sometimes the only available remedy for recovery from illnesses. Established practices to create products suitable for prolonged storage. Last but not least, the excellent taste. Some conclusions. Fruits, berries and their products have secured their place as an important food source. Different processing techniques became an integral part of the traditional practices in European societies. Most of them are still applied for personal use today. Moreover, these empirically developed processes had served as a base for industrial scale treatment and production. Thank you for attention.